Okay, so hi and welcome to your ENG 6301 Engineering Management. This topic discusses Week 9 Leading. So what is leading? Okay, so leading is the management function involves influencing others to engage in the work behaviors necessary to reach organizational goals. So the definition indicates that a person or a group of persons tasked with managing a group must assume the role performed by leaders. Okay, so while leading refers to the function, leadership refers to the process. How leaders influence others. Engineer managers are expected to maintain effective workforces. To be able to do so, they are required to perform leadership roles. Leaders are said to be able to influence others because of the power they possess. Power refers to the ability of a leader to exert force on another. Then we have the basis of power. Okay, so the power possessed by leaders may be classified according to various bases. They are as follows. Number one, we have the legitimate power. A person who occupies a higher position has a legitimate power over persons in lower position within the organization. Okay, a supervisor, for instance, can issue orders to workers in his unit. Okay, compliance can be expected. Then next, we have the reward power. When a person has the ability to give rewards to anybody who follows order or request. Okay, material or psychic, praises, and recognition. Okay, so material reward refer to money or other tangible benefits like cards, house and lot, and so on. Psychic rewards consist of recognition, praises, and so on. Okay, and then we have the coercive power. When a person compels another to comply with orders through threats or punishment. Okay, so punishment may take the form of demotion, dismissal, withholding of promotion, and so on. And next, we have the referent power. When a person can get compliance from another because the latter would want to be identified with the former. And we have the expert power. Provide specialized information regarding their specific lines of expertise. Okay, so this influence, called expert power, is possessed by people with great skills in technology. Okay, so the expert power exercised by an environmental scientist was enough to force governments throughout the world to pass legislations favorable to environmental protection. The nature of leadership. Okay, so leadership may be referred to as the process of influencing and supporting others to work enthusiastically toward achieving objectives. Leadership is expected of any manager in charge of any unit or division. Okay, so ones cannot expect a unit or division to achieve objectives in the absence of effective leadership. Even if a leader is present, but if he is not functioning properly, no unit or division objectives can be expected to be achieved. Okay, there are certain leadership traits identified by researchers and which may be useful in developing effective leaders. These traits are as follows. Number 1, a high level of personal drive. Number 2, the desire to lead. Number 3, personal integrity. Number 4, self-confidence. And number 5, analytical ability or judgment. Okay. Number 6, knowledge of the company, industry, or technology. 7, charisma. 8, creativity. 9, flexibility. Okay, so let's start with personal drive. Okay, persons with drive are those identified as willing to accept responsibility, possess vigor, initiative, persistence, and health. Okay, so drive is a very important leadership trait because of the possibility of failure in every attempt to achieve certain goals. If a chosen way to reach a goal is not successful, a leader finds another way to reach it, even if it precedes a succession of failed attempts. This will, of course, require a high level of personal drive from leader. Next, we have the desire to lead. Okay, leaders with desire to lead will always have a reservoir of extra efforts which can be used whenever needed. Okay, there are some persons who have all the qualifications for leadership, yet they could not become a leader because they lack one special requirement. That is the desire to lead. Even if they are forced to act as leaders, they will not be effective because their efforts will be half-hearted. Then we have the personal integrity. A person who is a well-regarded by others as one who has integrity possesses one trait of a leader. Okay, so one who does not have personal integrity will have a hard time convincing his subordinates about the necessity of completing various tasks. If this is the case, the leader will then resort to exercising his authority and getting things done entirely by the use of or threat of use of the coercive powers vested in him by virtue of the rank and position he occupies in the hierarchy. If this happens, the economic and emotional cost will be too high to be maintained for a desirable length of time. As it is, the better option is to have a personal or integrity. Okay, so according to V.K. Saraf, integrity includes honesty, honor, incorruptibility, rectitude, righteousness, uprightness, and similar virtues. And then we have the self-confidence. The activities of leaders require moves that will produce the needed outputs. Okay, so the steps of conceptualizing, organizing, and implementing will be completed if sustained efforts are made. Okay, for the moves to be continuous and precise, self-confidence is necessary. Okay, McKinsey and Company found in a study they conducted that leaders of mid-sized, high-growth companies were almost inevitably consummate salesmen who radiate enormous contagious self-confidence. Okay, Wes Roberts was very precise when he declared the following as one of the traits of a good leader. A chieftain cannot win if he loses his nerve. Okay, he should be a self-confident and self-reliant, and even if he does not win, he will know he has done his best. Next, we have the analytical ability. Okay, the ability to analyze is one desirable trait that a leader can use to tide him over many challenging aspects of leadership. Okay, so leaders are oftentimes faced with difficulties that prevent the completion of assigned tasks. A subordinate, for instance, may have a record of continually failing to produce the needed output. Okay, so a leader with sufficient skill to determine the root cause of the problem may be able to help the subordinate to improve his production. Next, knowledge of the company, industry, or technology. A leader who is well informed about his company, the industry where the company belongs, and the technology utilized by the industry will be in a better position to provide directions to his unit. Okay, so a company, for example, may be the industry leader because it satisfies the needs of its particular market. Example, providing quality products at affordable prices. When a competing firm is fast catching up with the leader and the leader's manager know this, they will better serve the interests of their company. And then we have the charisma. Okay, so when a person has a sufficient personal magnetism that leads people to follow his directives. Okay, so great personalities in history like Napoleon Bonaparte, Julius Caesar, Adolf Hitler, George Washington, Elvis Presley, and others are said to possess charisma. Okay, so these characteristics was greatly responsible for whatever accomplishments they achieved. When used properly, charisma will help the leader in achieving his goals. Okay, with some adjustments, subordinates may be expected to do their task willingly. And then we have creativity. Ronnie Miljevo defines creativity as the ability to combine existing data, experience, and preconditions from various sources in such a way that the result will be subjectively regarded as new, valuable, and innovative, and as a direct solution to an identified problem situation. Okay, so as a leader, are tasked to provide solution to problems besetting their particular units or divisions. Creativity will be a very useful trait. Okay, so problems are oftentimes complex and challenging, and if they are, the leader will need all the creative abilities he has. Next, we have the flexibility. One will adopt a different method from another person's method. So a leader who allows this situation as long as the required outputs are produced is said to be flexible. There is wisdom in being flexible. It allows the other means of achieving goals when the prescribed manner is not appropriate. Then let's move to the leadership skills. Leaders need to have various skills to be effective, and they are technical skills. Okay, so these are skills a leader must possess to enable him to understand and make decisions about work processes, activities, and technology. Okay, so technical skills in the specialized knowledge needed to perform a job. When a leader has a technical skill related to his area of responsibility, he will be more confident in performing his functions. The engineer manager, for instance, must be able to perform engineering jobs if he wants to maintain a motivated workforce. Okay, so the engineer manager of a construction firm must have sufficient skills to undertake construction works. Okay, so the manager of an electrical engineering firm must possess the skill to install and maintain electrical facilities and equipment. Then we have the human skills. These skills refers to the ability of a leader to deal with people both inside and outside the organization. Okay, so good leaders must know how to get along with people, motivate them, and inspire them. Apart from motivating, human skills include coaching, communication, moral building, training and development, help and supportiveness, and delegating. Then we also have the conceptual skills. Okay, so these skills refer to the ability to think in abstract terms, to see how parts fit together to form the whole. Okay, so a very basic requirement for effective implementation is a clear and well-expressed presentation of what must be done. A leader without sufficient conceptual skills will fail to achieve this. Behavioral approaches to leadership styles. Okay, so those in position of leadership exhibit a pattern of behavior that is unique and different from other patterns. This total pattern of behavior is called leadership style. There are several approaches used in classifying leadership styles, and they are as follows. According to the ways leaders approach people to motivate them, according to the way leader uses power, according to the leader's orientation towards task and people, ways leaders approach people. Okay, there are two ways. A leader may approach people to motivate them, and they are positive leadership, when the leader's approach emphasizes rewards. Okay, so the reward may be economic, like an increase in monthly salary, or it may be non-economic, like membership in an advisory committee. Next, we have the negative leadership, when punishment is emphasized by the leader. Okay, so the punishment may take the form of reprimand, suspension, or dismissal. Okay, so leadership styles also vary according to how power is used. They are as follows. Autocratic leaders. Okay, so leaders who make decisions themselves without consulting subordinates. Okay, so its advantages is that the leader receives little, if any, information and ideas from his people as input into his decision making. Okay, so motivation takes the form of threats, punishment, and intimidation of all kinds. Okay, so the autocratic style is effective in emergencies and when absolute followership is needed. Okay, so an example is a civil engineer in charge of constructing a temporary bridge over one that has been currently damaged. Then we have the participative leaders. When a leader openly invites his subordinates to participate or share in decisions, policy making, and operations methods. Okay, so the advantage of participative leadership is that it generates a lot of good ideas. Another advantage is the increased support for decisions and the reduction of the chance that they will be unexpectedly undermined. But the disadvantage of the participative leadership is that it is time-consuming and frustrating to people who prefer to see a quick decision reached. And then we have the free-rein leaders. Leaders who set objectives and allow employees or subordinates relative freedom to do whatever it takes to accomplish these objectives. Okay, so they are also referred to as laissez-faire leaders. Okay, so this leadership style is most applicable to certain organizations manned by professionals like doctors and engineers. An example is the engineering department of a university, which is headed by the dean. Okay, so if free-rein leadership fits the situation, there is full managerial delegation resulting to optimum utilization of time and resources. So this happens because many people are motivated to full effort only if given this kind of free rein. The weakness of a free rein leadership is that there is a very little managerial control and a high degree of risk. If the leader does not know well the competence and integrity of his people and their ability to handle this kind of freedom, the result could be disastrous. Then leaders' orientation towards task and people. Okay, so leaders may be classified according to how they view tasks and people. Consequently, a leader may either be employee orientation. A leader is said to be employee-oriented when he considers employees as human beings of intrinsic importance and with individual and personal need to satisfy. Task orientation. A leader is said to be task-oriented if he places stress on production and the technical aspects of the job, and the employees are viewed as the means of getting the work done. Contingency approaches to leadership style. So the contingency approach is an effort to determine through research which managerial practices and techniques are appropriate in specific situations. Various contingency approaches are as follows. Fiedler's contingency model, Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership model, path goal model of leadership. And thus, we have the Vroom's decision-making model. Okay, so let's start with Fiedler's contingency model. So according to Fred Fiedler, leadership is effective when the leader's style is appropriate to the situation. The situational characteristic is determined by three principal factors. Okay, number one, the relations between leaders and followers. Number two, the structure of the task. And number three, the power inherent in the leader's position. Okay, so the situational characteristics vary from organization to be effective. Okay, the situation must fit the leader. If this is not so, the following may be tried. Okay, change the leader's trait or behaviors. Select leaders who have traits or behavior fitting the situation. Move leaders around in the organization until they are in position that fit them. Okay, and change the situation. Next, we have the Hersey and Blanchard's situational leadership model. Okay, so the situational leadership model suggests that the most important factor affecting the selections of a leader style is the development or maturity level of subordinate. Okay, so the leader should match his or her style to his maturity level. Okay, so maturity has two components. Job skills and knowledge, and psychological maturity. Okay, so Blanchard and others elaborated on the leadership style appropriate for the various maturity level of subordinates, and they are as follows. Style 1, directing. Okay, is for people who lack competence but are enthusiastic and committed. And then path goal model of leadership. Leadership can be made effective because leaders can influence subordinates' perceptions of their work goals, personal goals, and paths to goal attainment. So by using the path goal model, it is assumed that effective leaders can enhance subordinate motivation by clarifying the subordinate's perception of work goals, linking meaningful rewards with goal attainment, explaining how goals and desired rewards can be achieved. Okay, so let's start with the leadership styles, okay, which may be used by path goals are as follows. Directive leadership. Okay, so where the leader focuses on a clear task, assignments, standards of a successful performance, and work schedules. Supportive leadership, okay, where subordinates are treated as equals in a friendly manner while striving to improve their well-being. And then we have the participative leadership, where the leaders consult with the subordinates to seek their suggestions and then seriously consider those suggestions when making decisions. Okay. Achievement-oriented leadership. Okay, so where the leaders set challenging goals, emphasize excellence, and seek continuous improvement while maintaining a high degree of confidence that subordinates will meet difficult challenges in a responsible manner. Then we have the Vroom's decision-making model. Okay, so Vroom's model of leadership is one that prescribes the proper leadership style for various situations, focusing on the appropriate degrees of delegation of decision-making authority. Okay, so the 5 distinct decision-making styles are identified under Vroom model. 2 of them are autocratic, 2 others are consultative, and 1 is group-directed. That will be all for today, class. Thank you and have a nice day.